Britain's had a long history of interaction with India from the 17th century until the present day. And during that time, a large number of Britons have lived in the region and have documented their lives using diaries and letters and photographs, many of which have now found their way into the archives of the Centre of South Asian Studies.
Our centre here in Cambridge holds an amazing and unique collection of early amateur films made in the 1920s and 30s in India. This type of material helps us today, whether we are visual anthropologists, historians or scholars of social media, understand the shift in collective memory between home entertainment, such as home movies, and today's digital culture in South Asia.
The archive covers the period of British rule in India, and in particular is at its richest towards the end of British rule, where we have very many collections of films and photographs and papers detailing ordinary lives as the end of the empire approached. We have diaries and account books and letters detailing, often mentioning events in the independence struggle, but you're seeing them from the viewpoint of the Britons who were working in India at the time.
The Burt film collection offers us a clear sense of the intimacy of horror. At first, we see scenes of Indian people cooking their meals on a train platform, overcrowding train carriages, waiting for the next train departure, or even traveling by train. But once we realize, and we know, that these scenes have been filmed in August and September 1947, we then acknowledge the historical merit of this visual manuscript that documents what it meant to be part of the partition of India in 1947.
One of my favourite items is the album of Millicent Pilkington. It's called A Commonplace Book, which is a diary of a year's trip to India in the 1890s. And she illustrates it beautifully, paintings and ink works, and she also keeps an account of her attendance at parties and at high society events, but also documenting her opinion of India and, as so many Britons did, noting what she found exotic and unusual in the country as she travelled through it. The album has a number of photographs, most of which were professionally taken, which she bought. There are also great little pieces like the dance cards from the balls that she went to, each of which has the names of the partners that she danced with written in it. There are invitations to parties, to at-homes as they were called. There are the programmes from theatrical performances that she attended, and lists of polo meetings and other such events.
Our centre holds a colour amateur film made in 1968 titled Cambridge Expedition to Nepal. At first glance, we could think this is a travelogue, wonderful colour scenes of landscape. However, it includes a scene of the large Buddha statues carved in the mountainside in Bamiyan Valley. And all of a sudden, we look at these images as a unique visual record for the history of the region, especially in light of the site's destruction, recent destruction by the Taliban. The Kendall Film Collection includes a 20-second long scene filmed by Lady Kendall in early 1930s in Nainital, when, together with her family and friends, they were having a picnic. At some point, her oldest daughter stands up, and it's very clear that this she does at the indication of her mother, who was behind the camera, and goes such that she can cancel on screen the presence of the Indian servant. This scene can be interpreted as a visual record of gender and social hierarchies at play in colonial India in the 1930s.
The centre also has an extensive oral history collection, which goes some way to counterbalancing the Britishness of the rest of the archive. There are about 1,000 hours in 300 interviews, and many of them are with leading figures from Indian politics and from the Indian independence movement, but also journalists and significant figures in all aspects of Indian life. Across all the collections, the films, the photographs, the documents and the oral history, the Centre of South Asian Studies archive encapsulates the broad experiences of life in British India in an extraordinary and unique way.